Hello and welcome back to the Naked Expat channel. This vlog is specifically for UK expats that are planning on moving abroad or who have already moved abroad and they're concerned about their basic state pension. A basic state pension for UK expats that are male over the age of 65 or 66 or 67 or 68, depending on when you were born, is payable. And if you're retiring to a country where there's a dual reciprocal tax agreement, then that pension can be index linked. For example, if you're a British expat that retires to Thailand, on the date that you retire, if your address is in Thailand, then your pension is fixed at that level and will never go up. If you retire to, say, the Philippines, where there's a reciprocal tax agreement, then your pension is index linked, just as it is if you remain in the UK as an old age pensioner. So there has been temptation in the past for UK expats that are, say, retired in Thailand to retain a UK address and tell HMRC and the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, who handle the state pension, that you're UK based and therefore you retain a UK address, either a property that you still own or a friend's or relative's address, and you maintain a UK bank account and you get your state pension paid into there. Now, if you're living in Thailand and you are technically an expat, that's totally illegal. So you pay your money, you take your chance. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but I know many expats that have done that. There's no need to do that if you retire into a country like, say, the Philippines, where your basic state pension is index linked. So there's absolutely no reason why, when you draw your old age pension, why you shouldn't have it paid directly from the Department of Work and Pensions into a Philippine bank account. Now, some expats that live in the Philippines choose to retain a UK bank account and to have their basic state pension paid into that UK bank account. And they maintain a UK address. Now, whether that's just for convenience purposes or because they do not wish to become a expat, in other words, have made a clean break from the UK, or whether it's to defraud the NHS, so they maintain a UK bank account. Otherwise, as an expat, you have to return to the UK and be resident in the UK for at least 6 months before you become entitled to NHS free treatment at the point of treatment. Now, a lot of expats that, say, live around the world will maintain a UK address, and if they fall sick, they'll hightail it back to the UK where they can get treatment on the NHS. Well, you might have to wait months and months and months before you get treatment anyway, but that's a different matter altogether. A lot of people do that. It's illegal to do so, but again, you pay your money and you take your chance. With regards to the basic state pension, if you're retired in the Philippines, it makes absolute sense to, as an expat, it's very easy on a 13A visa or SRRV, or if you're on a non-tourist visa or a tourist visa, but you have an ACRI card and you've been resident in the Philippines for more than 6 months, to open up a bank account. And some banks in the Philippines are more amiable than others. One of the easiest ones is Metro Bank, but also if you have a ACRI card or you have a more permanent type of visa like a retirement visa or a 13A spouse visa, it's very straightforward to open up a bank account with BPI or a BDO, for example, any of the main banks. It's not a problem. Once you have a Philippine-based bank account, well, you can have Philippine peso or you can have a US dollar-based account in the Philippines. If you have, say, a Philippine peso savings account with a BPO, and you draw your basic state pension, the Department of Work and Pensions in the UK can pay your inflation-linked old age pension directly into your Philippines account. I don't see any reason why an expat living in the Philippines wouldn't want to do that, because it foregoes any costs of transferring monies using World Remit or TransferWise or Remitly or any other type of app. It's directly paid by the Department of Work and Pensions from the UK old age pension into your Philippine bank account, and unlike in Thailand, it's index linked. So it's kind of like a no-brainer. I don't understand why people would want to have it paid into a UK bank account and then have to go through the rigmarole of transferring it with the fees that were involved in doing so. But maybe I'm missing a trick there. But in my 20 years as an expat, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to do that. Now, the other issue that a lot of UK expats get is that they maintain a UK bank account, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist looking at your bank account to understand, looking at your regular statements, that you are not ordinarily resident in the UK. And you do have a legal obligation, if your circumstances change and you are ordinarily resident outside of the UK, believe it or not, you do have a legal obligation to inform your bank and be proactive, not reactive. And if they close your bank account down where your monies are held and give you limited time to make amendments and your pension is paid into it, you're stuck. Most pension trustees with occupational pension schemes, be them final salary schemes or money purchase schemes, personal pensions, the pension trustees can pay pensions to any bank account anywhere in the world. It's not rocket science for them to do that. And it's very common because societies are becoming more transient now. And a lot of people, over 5 million in the UK, do retire abroad. So it's relatively straightforward to do it. If you choose to maintain your UK bank account whilst being an expat, and you end up having it suddenly closed down, well, tough. I've got no sympathy for you. It is relatively straightforward to open up an account with, say, Standard Bank based in the Isle of Man, HSBC International. Some of these banks have much more flexible international banking facilities, which may or may not be overkill for you. I do appreciate that, but some have relatively straightforward bank accounts, especially a lot of the providers that are based in the Isle of Man, where they fall under the regime of the UK Financial Services Regulation. So they are pretty much watertight, have very good credit ratings, and you are still able to have debit cards, credit cards, and accounts in multiple currencies. I, for example, have accounts in the Isle of Man with sterling, euro, and US dollar accounts. And I have cards, debit cards for each one of those. And they're sent to me in the Philippines, and I'm registered in the Philippines, and those accounts will never get closed down. Great, it's fantastic. I can have emergency funds paid in there, extremely flexible, at a very, very low cost per annum, and no monthly fees or anything like that. So do bear that in mind. Don't just be blinkered into thinking, I've got to just maintain a UK bank account. That is not the case. I can understand from an NHS point of view why some people may want to budget and maintain a UK address for healthcare reasons, but again, that's illegal and I'm not suggesting that you do that. I hope you found this of interest. There is absolutely no reason why, when you have a basic state pension, you should fall into any trap with regards to proof of life. One tip that an older British expat told me some time ago, which is very, very prudent, is the Department of Work and Pensions online has proof of life forms which you can download as a PDF and print off. About 3 months before your birthday is due, what he regularly does is every year he goes to the expense of only a few pesos of printing off a form, not much more than about 3 months before his birthday, when he might be sent a proof of life form. Because as we all know, the mail in places like the postal service, the mail in places like the Philippines is terrible. And people do have instances where a proof of life form has been sent from the UK, they don't receive it or they receive it too late. By the time it's sent back, their pension's been cut off because the DWP hasn't received their proof of life form back. So as far as they're concerned, automatically, you must be dead. So until we hear otherwise, we're going to freeze your payments. A lot of people get into that situation a lot of times. In order to prevent it, about 3 months before your birthday, print off a PDF. Don't print it off any earlier than that, and don't print off lots of them because the proof of life form does change from time to time. So leave it to about 2 or 3 months before your birthday, download a form and print it off and fill it out. Then you can send it back. Don't worry about DHL or FedEx or using a courier service which is expensive. Put it in an envelope and use the Philippine Postal Service recorded delivery. It's a little bit more expensive than normal, but it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than DHL or FedEx. So use the Philippine Post system, and sure, it might take a month or so to get to the UK. But so what? You've not been asked for that proof of life form. You're doing it proactively each year. And for the sake of a few bucks, it's a great thing to do. My friend that's done this, who's now in his late 70s, has never had his basic state pension cut off from the UK because every year, 2 or 3 months before his birthday, he sends a proof of life form back, whether they want one or not, because he's preempting them asking for one. And that's a fantastic tip. So do that. The other thing worth bearing in mind is when you apply for your basic state pension in the first place. Now, when you do apply for your basic state pension and where you wish it to be paid, you have two options. You can fill out a form and send it back, or you can pick up the phone and ring the Department of Work and Pensions. If you've got access to a phone service like MyTello, for example, Skype's sort of gone now. If you use an online service which is called Voice over Internet Protocol, then call the UK. If not, if you're still in the UK, then ring them up using the landline number and speak to somebody. It takes about 20 minutes to get through, but you can speak to DWP and you know what they're going to ask you. You've got those questions ready to go. When you get through after about 20 minutes, you can tell them all the information they need online and do it that way. So they have a postal service and they have a telephone service where you can basically request where you want your pension to be paid and give the information. As I say, it's pretty much a no-brainer if you're an expat in the Philippines to have it paid directly from the DWP into your Philippine bank account. It makes absolute sense. No transfer charges, no nothing. DWP will pay it directly into your account in pesos. So you're not liable to BDO, BPI, Metrobank converting it at an uncompetitive rate locally. It will arrive in your account as Philippine peso. So that's fantastic. Definitely worth doing. As I said, two options, UK bank account or Philippine peso bank account. And I would suggest, or I would certainly recommend, in my experience, those that have had it paid directly into a Philippine peso bank account have been quids in because there's no transfer costs involved. And likewise, proactively, send a proof of life form back every year about 2 or 3 months before your birthday, and you should be absolutely fine for the future with no issues with your pension being frozen. If your circumstances change, you can easily get on the phone to DWP or drop them an email to say you've moved back to the UK for ill health reasons or whatever. If you're using your UK bank account, well, good luck to you, because the bank accounts like Barclays, Nationwide, etc., they have a legal obligation to freeze because of the anti-money laundering regulations. They have the obligation to freeze UK bank accounts for all UK non-resident British citizens. So it's only a matter of time before they catch up with you. So again, you pay your money, you take your chance. That's my 2 pennies worth. I hope it's of use to you. If you've got any comments, drop them in the comments below. I've had 20 plus years as an offshore investment advisor, financial advisor. I retired at the age of 40. I've kind of been there, seen it, done it, lived in Asia for about 20 years. And I'm quite happy to provide you with some advice or guidance as best I can for the general fellowship of UK expats living abroad. Thank you.